One of the problems with cooking fish at home is that many people are nervous about serving fish, particularly things like whole fish, whole salmons, serving them undercooked, semi-raw. So there's a tendency to overcook the fish. Wait until these little white globules appear on the surface. And that's not very enjoyable to eat. It's dry. This is somewhere generally where restaurants succeed more than the home cook. But the system we use for cooking all fish is sous vide. Basically, here's some salmon. It's been in a water bath set at 50 degrees centigrade. Now, I'll just show you just how moist this fish still is. I'll show you the probe. If I probe that, so that salmon's just over 50 degrees centigrade. Perfect. Now, just have a look at the fish. See, it's flaking, and that is a lot harder to do at home consistently. But again, the importance of using a probe to measure the temperature of the inside of the fish. And obviously, we've got the benefit of using vacuum pack machines and water baths for cooking and controlling the temperature of the fish at the restaurant. I understand the home cook doesn't have that facility. And if you always bear in mind, keep the temperature, the internal temperature of any fish, for absolute maximum 55 degrees centigrade, but 50 is best. You'll always have beautifully moist fish. So I'm now going to show you how to keep a joint of pork incredibly moist and juicy by roasting it in the oven and controlling the temperature at which you cook the meat to. So roast rack of pork. I think one of the problems with pork is more people would like if it was cooked properly, but pork is the same as beef. But you can cook it so it's a little bit more pink, and that way it'll keep all the moisture. So because of a lot of people's nervousness about the pinkness in pork, they have a tendency to overcook it, so you end up with this really dried out piece of meat. You don't get the flavour and you don't get the juiciness. Pork can be fantastic, but it's critical that you control the temperature you're cooking the meat to. So here I'm using a digital probe. You can use one of these traditional analog ones as well if you want to. So this digital probe I'm using here means I can keep the probe in the meat through the whole cooking process, and the display will be outside by the side of the oven. I can set an alarm on it as well, so when it comes up to the correct temperature, I'm looking at about 52 to 54 degrees centigrade. It'll beep when it's ready. Okay, into the oven, 185. Now, another tip, it's really important, it doesn't matter how expensive a flash your oven is, you need to check that the temperature you set your oven on is accurate. So in here, I've just popped an oven thermometer because it's very common for ovens to be out of kilter. So that should take about 45 minutes. Right, so that is now 54 degrees, so that's ready to come out of the oven. I'm going to leave the probe in the meat. So for the final stage for this process, you need to leave the meat to rest for about half an hour. That's really important because what's going to happen through this resting period is two things. Firstly, the meat will continue to cook, come up another 5 or 6 degrees centigrade, which will be perfect. Then it'll start to relax as it cools down. And by relaxing, it means that the muscle, all the fibres will become less tight and the meat will hold on to the moisture. If I was to carve that now, a lot of the moisture contained in that meat will come out, leaving the pork dry. We don't want that. This way it's going to be incredibly moist and succulent. Right, so resting for about half an hour, came up to about 60 degrees. So I'm just going to need to carve. Yeah. So you can see how much moisture is still in the pork. It's not dry at all. But the only way you're going to get this consistently is to use a probe, control the temperature, and it'll give you more confidence in the kitchen, and you'll discover just how fantastic traditionally dry cuts of meat, like this rack of pork, actually are.